80 million. That is the combined number of PS5 and Xbox X and S series sold worldwide, and that number increases daily. And if you say just 1% of those numbers were people that didn't understand the thermodynamics of a games console, then that is 800,000 consoles unnecessarily cooked because those people did not understand that with this setup there is no air going in and no hot air escaping, and the end result is bye-bye console. But in today's video, I have cooked up a solution that allows you to have your console in a TV cabinet or any type of enclosure without the worry of it overheating. And I'm going to tell you step by step how to do it yourself. This is my setup that I've been using problem-free for over 2 years. But before we get to the detail, you need to hear my story for choosing this particular setup and understand why I've done it. Because most of you will be thinking, why don't you just set it up on top of the cabinet and just avoid this setup altogether? But here's why. I've always been a PC gamer. However, my PC was showing signs of age, and during the pandemic, the prices of PC components, especially graphics cards, went through the roof, costing more than a console. That got me thinking. Now my birthday was coming up, so I decided I would drop some subtle hints to my wife, and on the day of my birthday, I received a lovely gift in the post. I was so excited to set up my Xbox, however, I had a big problem. 2 years earlier, my wife and I had spawned a child from hell. He did not listen to a word we said and would end my dreams of gaming in the lounge by destroying my new console. So I had to set up a console somewhere where he couldn't get to. A high shelf perhaps? Trust me, he would find a way. And it will look awful and out of place up there. The only solution was to put it in our IKEA cabinet and have a lock on it. And having spent almost 2 decades, I'm probably giving away my age here, as an IT manager, I've spent a lot of time installing IT infrastructure and enclosed government-approved cabinets. So it's a similar situation. However, with those you get a tray of fans, but you don't with an IKEA TV cabinet. So I came up with this simple solution. Here you have cool air getting drawn in and up and surrounding the console, and the fans behind extracting the hot air out. So how did I create this setup? And how much did it cost? You can get up and running just spending £30, but my setup that you're seeing here, I spent around £50 with some optional extras, and I'm going to break it all down for you now, and everything is linked in the description below. I'm using a laptop cooling stand. These are pretty much useless for cooling laptops. However, in this scenario, it's perfect product for drawing air in. The only issue is getting that air in, which means cutting a huge hole in your brand new furniture. More of that in a minute. You need to ensure the laptop stand you are buying is bigger than your console, otherwise no air will be drawn up if your console is covering the area of the laptop stand. Next up, the most important part of the build. This is the 220mm USB fans, which exhaust out the hot air produced from your console, which is what would lead it to overheating. So it's very important. These do come with mounting screws, however I prefer these silicone fan mounts, which are much easier to install and ensures there are no vibrations which a metal screw can cause. Then we have this optional digital thermometer. This one I have here tells you the temperature inside, which is important in the unlikely event your fans fail. You can set a visual alert if the temperature exceeds your set temperature. Mine has never gone more than 3 degrees above the room temperature, and I often have gamed for 6 hours straight. Here is showing the max reading, which is 29 degrees Celsius, which in some warmer countries is the room temperature. I would start to worry if the inside temperature is more than 40 degrees. Finally, you can buy these magnetic locks, so if you want to keep out young children, then these are brilliant. Now onto the setup, which is 4 simple steps. Now you may have guessed you're going to need some basic DIY skills. Now I am going to assume that most of you have access to some basic tools, because for this setup you're going to need the following. You're going to need a drill and a 100mm cutting tool or a jigsaw. Now onto the setup. Place a laptop cooling stand roughly where you want it. Turn it over and just mark lines, and you can just mark the edge, get the distance. So there's roughly 10 centimeters from the edge to the center of the fan, and it's about the same with that side as well. So these are your drilling points. Then all you need to do is get your drill. Just drill 2 holes, one there and one there. Once you finish your holes, it should look something like this, and then just use a vacuum cleaner to make sure you get all the bits of dust. And you can see what these IKEA cabinets are made from. Pretty much cardboard. Don't think there's any wood in them. Now onto the fans. So if you bring your fan up, now you can either place it in the center around here. I chose to place mine in this corner. Now on this IKEA cabinet, you've got a gap here for probably all the cables. You've also got one on this side, and this bracket here is to attach it to the wall. So I decided to put it on this corner. Now, I did mark up with a pencil the hole here, down here, and the one in this bottom right corner. Now that's enough to hold up this fan. So I haven't actually got a bracket up here because obviously this hole is cut out. If you find it difficult to mark it up, then the easiest way to do it would be to just measure the gap between the holes. So this is 10.5 centimeters. So obviously this is a square. So every 10.5 centimeters, you could just put a mark for the drill. So once you've got those 4 marks there, you can just join them together to create an X. Once you've got your X, you can use your hole saw, the center, and cut right through the middle of that. This is really thin, this backboard, so it shouldn't take much to cut it. Could also do is put a bit of scrap wood behind it, so it ensures it leaves a clean finish. So the next thing we want to do is we need to drill the holes so we can fix this onto it. So we need to choose a drill bit. What you want to use is the wooden drill bits. So these have got a pointy end on it. I'm not sure if you can see that. And then you want to drop the bit into the hole, find the correct size. So this is 4.5. Just looks like it's a bit too big for this hole. Now, the question is, I don't appear to have the next one down, which is a 4. This is a 4, but this is for cutting through metal. But if we drop that in, I mean, that fits pretty much perfectly. So we know that this hole size is a 4mm. So what you want is a 4mm wood drill bit, and simply just drill those 4 holes. So it should look something like this. Obviously this is the after on mine, and I've already fitted the fan in the corner. So as you can see, got one of these in there because obviously there was nothing there to begin with. And then here you have the holes, 100mm hole in the middle, and the next thing is to just install your fan, which is very straightforward. So making sure you've got the fan the correct way. So you can test that by plugging it in. Obviously you want to feel the air hitting your hand, and that side needs to go on the outside. So that's blowing or extracting the air out. So in this case it's like this, and once that is in place, you use these if you bought these. So feed them through the hole. So they just pull like this, and once you're on that side, if you pull this, it will just place it and hold it in place. Now when it's fitted, this needs to be all the way in, so that needs to be touching the black bit, so we know we're all the way in. So this is the back of the cab. So yeah, I do need to do a better job with the wiring, as it's a bit of a mess back there, but you can't see it from the front, which is the main thing. So if we feed these through, okay, so all you need to do is just pull. Oops, that's that done, and then down here, and that's that done. Obviously do the other 2. Now these can be cut afterwards, so they're not sticking out, but I'm going to leave mine on because you can't see them. It just means you can reuse these. And once they're both in, this is what it looks like. And you can also get these self-adhesive cable ties. So just neaten up the cable, which is what I've done. As you can see, I got a power extension here. It's got a couple of USB ports here. It's got a switch here that allows me to switch off the Xbox. I'll come on to that later on why that's useful. Now all you have to do is set up your console. Once it's all hooked up, you are ready for hours of gaming in your new clean and child-proof setup. Unfortunately guys, like most setups, there are some downsides to this particular one. Firstly, regular upkeep. Dust will build up inside here, so I would clean this at least once every 2 weeks. Now, if it was out in the open, I would expect you to clean your console with a clip blast from the vacuum cleaner, so this is not a major task. There is a constant drone given off from the fans. I have my USB fans and laptop stand plugged into my Xbox. However, when the Xbox is in sleep, the fans are still working, which can be annoying. For me, it's not an issue, which is where the extension comes in. Mine has a power switch and you can turn it off if you want silence. Never tell yourself that you're going to unplug the fans every time and plug it in before you start gaming. All it takes is just one occasion and bye-bye console. Keep in mind guys, this setup is not only for consoles. You could put a small PC inside here or any other console. As long as you're not covering the air intake, you should be fine. My YouTube channel has only been around for just over a year, and I created this setup 2 years ago, so I don't actually have any footage of the drilling process itself. However, I could be tempted to buy a PS5 and do the same setup, but on the left side of my cabinet, which sits empty at the minute. Just let me know if you want to see that in the comments below. If this video brought you any value, I would appreciate you subscribing to my channel for more tech reviews and console related content. Thank you for watching.